Okay, we should be going.
We live? It
I
says
think
live
so.
stream is
Yeah.
starting soon. Oh, there it is. It's live.
We're good. All
Cool.
right. Hi, friends and new
Good.
friends. Welcome to a very special episode of Cash Alternative TV. I'm live with Charlie Shrem. In case you don't know him, he's a figure from the early days of Bitcoin. He was the CEO of BitInstant, and he was quite involved in the community. He was a founding member of the Bitcoin Foundation. He's been featured in a couple of things for Bitcoin, such as the Rise and Rise of Bitcoin, which was a documentary. And he was also in a book called Digital Gold. So welcome to the show, Charlie Shrem.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I just want to talk to you about some things. I saw your last tweets. You were with Anthony from Jack's. You guys were looking pretty relaxed there on the beach and stuff. How was that?
Yeah, it was good. Anthony's a huge Dash fan. He was one of the reasons I got into Dash. He lives not far from me, so we try to take a day off from work and just boat around and eat some good food and just be out of technology because you get these headaches when you're sitting in front of a computer screen all day.
Yeah, for
And
sure. I just had a vacation to down to Dominican, and I specifically made it a time for no technology at all. I was completely offline for a whole week, and it felt good.
See, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could do that. I was thinking about it, but I did. I did do it for a year. I didn't have any technology, so I guess I
Ah,
could do
well, it definitely took a
it.
lot of willpower, I'll tell you that. But I did it, and I was expecting to come back to like a dash price that was maybe $10 more than it was, but it stayed flat that whole week. So I
But
was
that's a
like,
good
oh,
thing.
yeah, it
That's
did.
a
It
good
didn't go
thing.
down. Okay,
So
so I admit that I've watched you from afar. I didn't know too much about you until until you made this proposal to the Dash Network. For the benefit of our viewers, could you please give us a little bit of background about yourself and how you got involved in Bitcoin?
sure, I got involved in Bitcoin in 2011, kind of like the really early days, and the whole Bitcoin community was like centered around the Bitcoin talk forums. And the only place to buy Bitcoin was on Mt. Gox, and the Bitcoin was worth less than $1. It wasn't this whole currency system that it is now. It wasn't even a speculative investment. It was just something cool and fun. Like, hey, I could send you these bits over the internet, and you could send it to someone else, and you can't double spend it or counterfeit it or wait for these confirmations. And you actually could see we had like only a few hundred nodes, and you can kind of see where they all were. And it was just this fun toy. Um, but then, like over after a few months, like in early 2012, we realized that this thing actually like is pretty powerful. Um, Actually, it was more like the end of 2011. Bitcoin is really powerful, and if we can actually get people using it, even just as like a means of transferring like dollars. So you want to transfer dollars to someone in China, you buy a bunch of Bitcoin, send it to China, then they can sell it for renminbi or whatever. It wasn't even more as a store of value; it was more of a payment system first. So a lot of people today think that Bitcoin is an amazing store of value, but they don't realize that based on economics, you can have a store of value that isn't spendable. Um, People aren't going to save something that they can't freely transfer into something else whenever they want to. But that's a whole nother conversation. So um, we realized that early on that people weren't gonna like buy into this thing if they had no easy way to buy or sell it. Selling it psychologically like goes back to that. If you know that you can sell something, it makes it easier for you to hold it long term, because if you want it to sell, you can do it at any time you want. So I started a company called BitInstant, and BitInstant was essentially that. We made it easy for people to buy and sell Bitcoin. And we did this through cash deposits, kind of like what wallofcoins.com does now. And you could walk into any 7-Eleven, CVS, Walgreens, Duane Reade. We had locations all over the world, banks even, deposit cash and get Bitcoin. And it was super easy. I think at one point, if you look at all the daily traded volume of Bitcoin across all the exchanges, we were 30% of that. So we had a huge market share, and we were doing a ton of volume. We were all of the retail exchanges. So the sub like $5,000 purchasing was done through us. I then went on to start the Bitcoin Foundation and do a bunch of other things. I've been working for a few different companies in the meantime, kind of above the radar, under the radar. I spent a year as a sabbatical that many of you guys know about, and as we call it. And then I decided to get into Dash through a meeting with Rob Janito from Wall of Coins, and I put together this proposal. Just to give a bit of background, I'm not working with like a start. So the proposal is essentially to create a Dash branded debit card, and it'll be a chip and pin debit card, and beautifully designed, and you'll be able to actually fund your account with Dash, your card with Dash. And so what had happened was I've been working with Payza, this company, since 2014. They're not a startup. They're financial service companies. They have a small banking license in the UK, so they're a full-on depository organization. They've been around for over 10 years. And I consulted with them in 2014 about integrating with Bitcoin. And they loved the idea. 6 months we did it, and they've been doing a tremendous amount of Bitcoin volume over the past few years, and they've been really pleased with it. So they came to me, and I'm very close with the CEO. He's a really smart guy, and he came to me and he said, "What's the next big thing? What can we do?" I said, "Well, what about this project Dash?" He said, "This is really cool. It's not big as Bitcoin yet, so I don't know if the development costs are going to be expensive to get it in, and we have to maintain a thing of Dash." And I said, "Well, I have a question. What if we did a Dash debit card through your debit card program? I'll pay the program fees and the development fees, and then you can get that integrated in there, and then we sell the cards and everything." He said, "I love that idea." He put together a proposal for me. I put together a proposal for the Dash network, and here we're going through it.
Okay, well, before you continue, I just want to comment on your shirt. It's very cool. For somebody from the Bitcoin community to be throwing on a Dash shirt like that. Congratulations to you, sir.
Yeah, no worries. I'll be giving a I know someone just said, "Is Bitcoin a scam?" Bitcoin is definitely not a scam. You should always diversify your portfolio. It's a very good idea. Yeah, excuse me. I'm hopefully heading to Europe next week. And I'll be speaking at 3 different events for Dash. I'll be speaking at RightsCon this week. Then I'll be speaking in Vienna at the House of Nakamoto about Dash. And then I'll be speaking at Block Show Europe in Munich the week after about Dash. So that's why I got this shirt.
So I could say that you're becoming a full-fledged member of Dash Nation then, aren't you?
Well, I want to protect my own investment. So whenever I take a position in something, I want to make sure that I could be involved and ensure its success in any way possible.
Awesome. So what's your take on the governance issues that are plaguing Bitcoin right now?
See, it's a good question, and I love Bitcoin to the day I die. The issue is kind of like some of the things that Dash solves, where you can still have a democratic system, but at the same time, you can incentivize governance by like the masternode project. And I really like that idea because it allows people to put their money where their mouth is. Masternodes are incentivized to be honest and to make sure that the network is being maintained and proper hard forks and changes need to be made. The only time I could see the masternode network failing is if some actor said, "To hell with money, I'm just going to buy up all the masternodes I can and then put my own," but then he'd be spending hundreds of millions of dollars for no economic incentive other than that he wants to take down Dash. But I couldn't see. I mean, someone would have done that with Bitcoin already if they really wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of these arguments don't really make much financial sense when you think about it. But yeah, so I find that in Bitcoin they come to quite a stalemate. You have the Bitcoin Unlimited crew that wants the bigger blocks. You want the SegWit that wants the technological solution. And because they lack a governance mechanism, this has been allowed to fester for so long, and it's becoming uglier and uglier with bigger threats and everything else. And this is something that we've avoided with Dash. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the masternode network came to a decision on whether to raise the block size, and we did it in 24 hours. So it's something that if things are not allowed to fester, yes, people take positions and we argue, but then we vote and we move on. Things aren't allowed to fester so much like they have been allowed to in Bitcoin.
That's really great. And it's just a perfect example how there's all these tokens that can do different things, and Dash is a great example because It's taking Dash and taking that socioeconomic kind of theory and putting it into practice the way Bitcoin did, but taking it to the next level. So it's definitely a good idea. Dash is 3 years old about, so it's gone through, it's kind of like pump and dumps, but it's still strong. It's doing well right now, rising. We could see a small correction, but if you're in the short-term game, then I would never tell someone to take a position. I try not to buy into anything at least 6 months to a year.
Okay, so we're happy to have you with us. You recently submitted a proposal to the Dash network to integrate a Dash MasterCard debit card and integration with Payza. Well, you just told me something that I didn't know. I thought Payza was like a Bitcoin startup, but you just told me that they were in existence before Bitcoin.
Yeah, they're not a Bitcoin startup. They're a full-fledged financial institution based in the United Kingdom. They're not a small company or whatever. They've been around for a while. Even
okay.
Existed.
And so you're proposing to have a debit card through them and to integrate into Payza. And you also told me something else. I thought that Payza was your company, but it's not your company. You just know somebody from there, right? You know the CEO?
So it's a huge company. No, it's definitely not my company.
Okay,
I've
cool.
consulted and worked with them on different projects.
All right. So how did you first find out about Dash? Like, how did you first start getting seriously involved there, thinking about getting seriously involved?
Florida and Wall of Coins, Rob Janito, Anthony D'Orio, Gabe Higgins from Clearvoter. A lot of big Dash guys live around me, and they've just been, all they do is talk about Dash. Jamie from quickbt.com as well. And these guys are, they're businessmen. They have their companies, and they're not telling me what their thoughts are. They're telling me in reality what people are doing. And I said, I need to take a look at this thing because I don't want to miss out.
Cool. So out of all the cryptocurrencies you could have worked with, what made you choose Dash to do this proposal with?
Well, most of these cryptocurrencies haven't been around that long. I didn't want to get involved with one a year and could disappear tomorrow. Go through like a 2-year, even proving yourself situation. The only exception that I've had was when I'm working with Steam as well. They've been around for less than a year. But I like that project too because it's a totally different take on blockchain, but doing it through social media. But that's interesting as well. But yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, and it's good. It's good to see the project. The community is really, really great people. I just love being around really smart people that I want to grow this technology.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of your proposal. You started out with I guess you want to integrate with Payza, so I'm going to let you do the talking. So why don't you walk us through exactly what somebody would need to do in order to get an actual debit card once it goes underway?
I have a domain name, dashpaycard.com. You can go to that domain to see everything. Right now, it's just a picture of the card. I'll update it with some more information. But essentially, you'll be able to go to payza.com, open up an account, get it verified, which takes a few minutes, the typical verification. And then you go to, you have your wallet and it's empty, and you can add Dash to your wallet. You can add dollars, euros, pounds, Canadian dollars, Australian dollars, whatever you want, pesos. And then you'll be able to click order debit card, and you fill out where you want it shipped to, the card, and it'll get shipped to your house, and then you start using it.
Okay, so how does it work if I'm going to load the card with Dash? Does it automatically change to my currency of choice, or does it stay in Dash until I use it at a point of sale terminal?
So you have wallets. You have the wallet, and then you have your debit card balance. You can move the Dash from your main e-wallet to debit card balance, and then you could spend it on demand or whatever. But it won't take from your main balance.
Okay.
And this is to protect you in case someone gets if someone gets your card or steals your card number, the damage is minimal.
Okay. I had somebody who was asking me on Slack if it was valid in Brazil, and I went to the website, and according to your website, it is valid in Brazil. So you can send. I don't think it's valid for the Brazilian currency, but it is valid in Brazil to send US dollars or euros to your bank or to Payza, and then you can fund your debit card through that.
Yep.
Okay, so what would be the key advantages and benefits of using your debit card over some other offerings that we have already, such as Spectra Coin or ShakePay?
Yeah, as far as I understand, those debit cards don't work in the United States, so that's a big. Uh, Second thing is it's just to have an actual Dash branded card. I think is really cool. Like it's actually branded Dash.
It does look really cool. I saw the pictures. It's a nice color and everything. So yeah, whoever designed that did a good job.
Yep.
So yeah, it's valid in the United States. That's a big one, right? Because the ones that we have right now are not valid in the United States. I get that all the time from people who are newly joiners. Do you have any Bitcoin, any debit cards that are valid in the United States? And I'm like, yeah, I do, or we don't actually. But now we do. Now we can tell them that we do. So that's good. Thanks for that. I see your proposal's passing, so we don't know until the last minute,
It is.
but it looks like it's passing as of right now. So congratulations. So in your proposal, you also
That'll be
suggest
great. Yeah.
that like you're going to use some of the profit share to keep the fees lower. How's that going to work?
So I got a lot of feedback. So someone's like, yeah, four people own 90% of the master nodes, and it's so untrue because I've spoken to different people that own master nodes. And the feedback I got was the master nodes would rather see profit share go towards um, the card cost and fees as low as possible instead of kind of kicking the profit back onto the network. So that's what we'll do. We'll kind of forego the profit share and then just have the card cost as low as possible.
Awesome. Yeah, as a masternode owner myself, that's what I would go for too, because in Dash,
There you
we're
go.
trying to make things as easy to use as possible for the end user. We're creating digital cash
Yeah.
for the world, so anything that makes it easier to use and cheaper to use is all the best for us, you know. So I
Yeah.
fully agree with that. So before we get to the next topic, is there anything that you would like to share with our viewers? Anything you want to discuss?
You're good.
Good. Okay. So as a community builder, I'm interested in hearing a response to these questions. So you've joined Dash Nation, you visited the Slack. What's your first impression of the Dash community?
Really community, really open and helping out. So it's been really great. I do see like dissenting opinions, people like kind of not agreeing with each other, but I don't really see the personal attacks. I do like that you have like a good anti-harassment policy as well. So it welcomes all different genders and races into the Slack. Some of the other Slacks are very kind of, it could be a little bit overwhelming with that.
Yeah, it's really been good. We have the simple rules, no ad hominems, no swearing, and no passing speculation as fact. And it came from another kind of a dark place because we had another Slack where it tended to devolve into these things. And Troy Dash and myself were the founders of this Slack, and we made sure that these things wouldn't happen again. And we've seen the results. It's been very good, very positive. Lots of projects being done through this Slack, lots of communication. And like you said, there's going to be disagreements, of course, but no, it never devolves into ad hominems or personal attacks or anything, and we tend to get over it and move on. And it's been very positive for the currency, I think.
Completely agree.
So, how does it compare to the Bitcoin community, in your opinion? Because you've seen both sides.
Um, the community is just a lot bigger. So when you have a big community, it's always going to have different opinions, and you can never make everything perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Dash Nation, you can kind of learn, and it seems like you are, and kind of watch and see the mistakes of where the Bitcoin community can get a little bit like attacking each other and different interests and stuff like that. So as long as we make the same mistake twice and we follow in other people's and we learn from other people, then I think we can grow really nicely.
Okay, so we were discussing before the broadcast about your portfolio balance, and I guess you have something interesting to share with the Dash viewers here, eh?
Well, yeah, I think I'm at, so in full disclosure, I have to run the numbers again, but I think I'm at like 30 Bitcoin,
You mean Dash?
25 or so percent Dash. No, 25% Dash. I'm at like maybe 30% Ether, 25% Ether, 10% Steam, and then the rest in fiat, whatever the numbers are. I have to, the numbers go up, they go up and down, but that's pretty much,
Well, I'm glad to hear that you have a substantial stake in Dash now, because you'll be helping us out. I really believe that it can be digital cash for the world, and you're going to help us to achieve its potential, and I'm happy about that. Have you used Dash yourself? Have you used its flagship features such as private send and instant send?
Yeah, it's really cool. I really like the instant send feature, and even without instant send, the block times are super fast. I was sending some Dash between my two computers here, and just watching the confirmations happen really quickly. So.
Yeah, to be fair with that, we tend to brag about how well our network works, but it is true that we have substantially less users. So it's going to definitely be
of course
easier to use. But we have a way to scale, even if we achieve the users that Bitcoin has, because we're going to have such I don't know if you've heard of it, with Evolution, they're going to have the API, decentralized. I think I'm not sure what API stands for, but it's yeah, it's going to be a flagship technology where the blockchain is going to be hosted by the masternodes, and people will be able to access it anywhere they want to, and also it will be able to scale because.
Well, that's what I like about the whole masternode thing, is that to graphically sign a transaction, and that's how the instant send works. So it's pretty great.
Yeah, the masternodes lock the transaction, and then it just needs to be included in the next block to be fully confirmed. That's the thing that's going to help us in retail situations, and it's the thing that makes us true. Was going to make us true digital cash. That's at least that's how we feel. We're kind of confident that that's going to happen. So I'm happy to hear that you've used it. So if you've used it, you know that it's a much different experience than Bitcoin. So do you know any other prominent Bitcoiners that might be thinking about making a proposal to the Dash network?
I don't know if any of them are going to make proposals, but partners that I speak to have a double-digit stake in Dash.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Yep.
The plot
including
thickens.
Roger and Anthony and everything like that.
Yeah, I just talked to Roger, and we discovered that we have so many things in common with Bitcoin Unlimited. That he favors the full blocks and the user experience, and that's right up our alley. So do you see us, if everything goes well in this stage, or will you be making more proposals in the future?
Sure. Let's see how this one works out. I'd like to get the cards in everyone's hands. I'd like to make sure everything's working, and then I can discuss with the business development team how else I can help, what to do next.
Awesome. Great to have you with us. So is there anything you would like to add in closing?
No, I think we're good to go. Thanks for me today. I appreciate it.
I love your shirt, man. So yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks to all the people in the who, and as soon as I said hello, completely changed their attitude.
Really? Well, can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, they're all just like, when you have people that talking, they don't know if the actual person they're trolling is listening or speaking, and then I'm like, hey guys, what's up just now? And everyone's like, hey Charlie, what's going on? It's just funny. I try not to make enemies. I'm friends with everyone. If you don't like what I'm saying, then I'm not going to convince you to do something. I'm never, I don't like shill, as people say. I don't ever say buy this or buy that. I don't do that. Talk about things that I like. If you want to listen to me, you're more than welcome to. If you don't, I'm not forcing anyone.
Yeah,
I'm a voluntarist, like Roger. Everything should be voluntary.
Yep.
Then that's it.
And I'm gonna volunteer to use your debit card, so you got my vote.
There you go. Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on the show, man. I hope to have you on another time. It's my first live show, so you'll always be remembered for that. And,
cool. Awesome. Yeah, we got a nice amount of viewers too.
Cool. So I appreciate that, and we'll talk to you later. See you around the Slack. Thanks for joining Dash Nation.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.